what are the elements on the CV that we need to be made aware of so that it doesn't land in the pile?
Don't put your picture on it. No one likes your face as much as you do. I promise you, it's not.
So I think also something that
if you have a picture of your face on there, it's not
Rizal's gonna go edit the scene.
He's giving her energy. Welcome to the GenC podcast. I am one of your hosts, JP Jackson.
You know, I looked in the wrong camera, I can't lie.
Yeah, there's too many now.
To my far right is Mr. Rizandros.
Wait, did you say your name?
You did.
Oh, you did. You see, I'm hard of hearing.
No, it's fine.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for welcoming me.
Hard of hearing. Did you say hard of hearing?
He's 31 now.
It sounds like a pause.
No, it doesn't.
No.
hard of hearing.
Nah.
He's wild.
JP's looking for pauses.
He's hard of hearing. Yo, bruh. Nah, to the audio listeners.
Please, sorry about that. I saw a comment the other day that like the person was saying that we laugh too much on the show.
Always.
Oh, but like,
yeah.
Are we not like a comedy?
I was like, why?
Isn't that what we do?
No, wait, is that not like, are we not here for vibes?
Why would you begrudge someone for having a good time? I don't understand.
Yeah,
it's not nice to watch people having a good time.
I don't know, like
It's preferences, like.
Is it maybe our
people
laughs that's annoying?
That could be one.
Okay.
And also people just prefer to like listen. Like they just want to hear what you have to say and move on with their lives.
So.
Unfortunately, it's not something that we do here.
Yeah.
but that's just how we package it. So
That's-
who do we have in
I was
the
going to
middle
say,
today?
that's quite interesting, but more interesting
Oh,
is the
yeah,
guest we have in the
yeah.
middle today. Hailing from the seats of Bel Mr. Victor Arnson. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. I'm trying so hard to like manage which I can.
The trick is not to look into any of them.
I'm treating like it's the office.
You have to look into our How's it going today, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Good. So for our audio and visual listeners,
Good
who
start.
is Victor?
Yes. I think I just want to start with my husband. It happened very recently. So I feel like for the next year or 3, whenever I introduce myself, I'm like, I'm a husband. And it's very important. My wife will be very happy. And I work as a talent acquisition specialist. It's just a fancy word for recruiter. Very, very fancy word for recruiter.
Nobody's gonna know.
How will they know?
Yeah, we'll get there. And yeah, if it comes to like the things I like, basketball, anime, just like, I don't know. I feel like I'll be one of the least interesting guests you guys have in terms of just like,
Whoa. Well, you don't need to be the judge of that.
Yeah. Just in terms of, the silhouette
false, but
of who I am.
you
But,
can just,
and
Victor,
when things come out, we'll see.
You are great on your own. You don't need to compare yourself to anybody else.
Oh, one of those podcasts that we self-love.
Yes.
I'm good at that.
No. Listen,
Let's
what it
self-love.
what it is that like, that's your uncle.
Gotcha.
And that right there
Yes.
is your uncle.
Mr. Erasmus.
Mr. Okay. The callback. Nobody's gonna know. It's the shirt for me. It's actually like, it's specifically the
I didn't
black
get
shirt.
the dress code. Sorry.
No. There was no dress code. It's like, it's the fact that you wear.
he looks good though.
Listen, JP is a handsome boy.
It's was busy at the top.
So my first question actually is, Victor, what is your favorite LeBron song that came out recently?
Yes, funny enough. You know what's crazy? I was trying to avoid that like the plague because I'm like, as someone that's a LeBron fan, I'm like, nah, you can't do this to us as well. We're really trying to defend ourselves online and defend this man online, right? And now you're giving ammunition with this nonsense. And the first thing you do when you comment like in a comment section, it's like, nah, you couldn't do anything in that final. Anyway, when you're there and then they're just like, I bet you listen to those songs, and I'm like, what must I say? Of course I did. The best one was, I saw a friend of mine just sent me one yesterday. It overtook one of my favorites, and I can't remember I can't remember what the name of that song is, but geez, it's a phenomenon, man. Like, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's
Anyway,
crazy.
when I open TikTok, it's LeBron.
Yeah.
LeBron.
Yeah. I
Have
think
you
that's the
heard
goated one.
any of these?
I've heard that one.
Yeah.
I haven't heard the
Goated.
There's so many.
Yeah,
bro.
so many.
There's one that threw me. It was Man in the Mirror. It's Luka, Doncic, LeBron, the real big three.
That was one that came in the last 2 weeks. I
Yo,
think. Yeah.
outrageous.
Yeah.
Nah, it's so good.
Yeah.
Like, cause I think a lot of the, let's call it the contemporary argument, does throw in the Jordan versus LeBron James debate and like Jordan shoes, Jordan as a businessman, and I'm like, what's this non-basketball conversation? So then the people got in the lab and they started that Krispy Kreme glaze.
It's like, this man doesn't have songs and people actually praising
LeBron has
song
motion
worship.
there. My
Yeah.
glorious king.
Ah, jeez. Bro, comment sections, you can't even tell if comment sections are serious anymore because it's just like, oh, the way he moved his arm was so tough. I'm like, nah, you can't be this level of glaze. And it's nothing serious either. Like, nah. And then all the way to songs now. And I don't know what to do about it. Like, you just kind of have to go with it, I guess. But it's like it's a phase, man. Like the Jordan, we're done with the 90s. That was also a phase eventually. If you
No, we started with the 90s.
Yeah, but I really am done with the 90s. If you've watched, I've watched full-on games of the 90s, like especially like old series from the Bulls. It's painful, man. It's painful, but you have to respect the era.
Yes. For what it is.
Yeah, I was
And the
born
impact
then,
it had.
so like respect it
Yeah.
to some extent, but nah, dude, I can't. It's tough.
This is a bit of a self-tell as a United fan, so I'm just gonna let this at
Me
hand.
too as well.
Okay.
Have you seen some of the old tapes from the Fergie era, my bro? Yo.
Of you
We
comparing
bought
like,
leagues. Nah, we bought titles. We bought. Nah. Like, the cheeky sapples. The cheeky sapples. The cheeky sapples.
The bells unmasked, you say.
Nah, we bought titles.
Howard Webb was my highest paid player.
Yo, bruh. Nah, it is actually the theater of illusions.
that man loved us, bro. Like, web of lies, bro.
We just have to, as a collective, that what's happening now is punishment for all the thievery. We have to accept that we're getting strapped, man. We're all punished.
So let's rein the therapy session back in. Okay. How does one get into talent acquisition?
Funny enough, so when I studied, I actually planned to become a business analyst. So I wanted to get into business analysis, maybe DevOps work, like in the information science side of things. So I studied information systems and industrial psychology. Other side of that would be the way people behave in the workplace.
Yeah.
The psychology of the workplace. They don't actually gel as like two majors. So I was kind of shooting myself in the foot because usually you would study accounting and economics, so you'd study business and whatever else, is kind of soul sucking. And then for some reason when I got to the end, I'm sitting with this, this ambiguous degree. It's a BCom Gen basically, right? Ambiguous, and then struggled for a bit because it was just after COVID as well.
Yeah.
And then someone eventually just like called. I was still a stock controller at home. I was like, I was just doing, what a stock controller does, make sure the stuff don't break. So someone called and they were like, look, we're not necessarily looking for someone with any particular experience, which I think is the best part of this. You don't need to have a specific background in recruitment. They kind of just want someone with a sales attitude who can be assertive. And a lot of people don't know these things about these roles because I had no idea recruitment was a thing. I studied industrial psychology. That didn't come up there. They didn't tell you like, who looks for these people with scarce skills. So they hit me up. They were like, look, would you be able to like call people, ask them like if they're looking to like change careers, whatever the case may be, or like just look for a new position. And it appealed to me because I was like, look, it's nice to get a new job. Usually your money goes up, you level up in terms of like your career status as well. So I said, it's something I can definitely do. And it's also commission based for the most part if you're at agency level.
Yeah.
So at agency level, if you in your line of work, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure recruiters have called you.
Yes.
You've definitely been
So
called.
I have been one of the ones that they asked, do you want a placement?
Yeah.
Because I think there's two ways about it. So my understanding as being the one to get placed is that they find you the person and then they charge you a fee.
Yes.
A placement fee for connecting the employer with the right employee.
Yes.
So that's in the agency model. That's how they make their money.
Yeah.
And then obviously as the one that does it, I'm assuming you get a percentage of whatever that fee was.
Yeah. I can break that down if you want to like get into like
please.
money as well. Because the thing is, I'm not someone that's scared to talk about money, to talk about salaries, because a lot of, especially like younger people, they have no idea what the jobs out there are paying.
Yeah.
I had no idea as well. If I had some inkling of like, okay, someone with 2 to 3 years experience as a software engineer can get paid this amount of money, I would have been there. So
maybe just to also disclaimer, we are in April 2025.
Yes.
So if you're watching this, it might change in the future.
Yeah, definitely will. And like 3 years ago, it was different, which is when I got into it. Also, as a disclaimer, I guess for my company, I won't reveal names, but like all of my opinions here are from me.
Yes.
The views
expressed.
The views expressed are expressed by me.
It wasn't approved in the budget.
It was not at all. No.
Just put it there.
So that's just my experience as a TA, as a recruiter. For the most part, when we are looking for someone, like someone with scarce talent, like let's say finance, my side was more IT, right? Let's say we're looking for a business analyst. Let's say the budget we were given was, let's say 50K. Someone with like 2 to 4 years experience. Different companies will have different, let's say percentages that they work on with a company. But if I have someone 50K, we would annualize that salary. So it'll go 600K for the finance. So 600K, and then we would take, let's say you want 15% with this company, right? That means that they agree to pay 15% of that placement fee, or rather the annualized salary. So the annualized salary is 600,000, 15% of that is 90. 90K, right? And then that is the placement fee that they will pay to the company. Right? For finding this candidate. But it's only obviously works, and how we would usually sell it is you only pay us once we get the right candidate. Once that person signs, once that person starts, that's when you pay us. Right? So up until then, you lose nothing for the most part, right? And then depending on the company and how they work, let's say it's 90,000 is what the business received. You will get a percentage of that 90,000 as a recruiter, right? So we have a big incentive to actually help you. So I know and look, understandably, there can be a negative, it's a bit of a negative view of recruiters because they kind of know you at the wrong time. So I completely get that.
So I think, and the perception thereof, and in my experience, it's always been you hear from them, then you don't.
Yes.
Or they touch, oh, you're looking for something? Yes. And then silent.
It's because they realize you're not the right candidate, they can completely air you. So I can understand the frustration with that.
So and then you always get into a scenario where, do I trust this person to then go ahead? Because if you do take that first interview, so maybe from the company's perspective, most likely the recruiter and the company are advertising the same position. If the company has in-house talent acquisition. But the recruiter has an incentive because they get a commission, and the company has an incentive because they don't need to pay the commission.
Facts.
So the vetting process is obviously different. And obviously if you have an advocate, like an agency, they'll be like, this is the one that is more preferred, ticks all your boxes, that sort of thing. That's where the agency would be more preference, because they would make sure that the deep diving happens.
They'll make sure that someone sees your CV.
Yes.
And I'm going to get to that side of things where your CV often ends up, and why you don't get a call back, and why most of the things you apply to, you won't get an answer.
You won't get an answer.
I'll get to that.
So we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But I think it's important that there are two legs to this. And sometimes it is beneficial to go with the agency, especially if the agency and that company have worked well in the past.
Yes, 100%.
Then they have a good working relationship. In other scenarios, sometimes the agency is a ghost to that company. So now you're aligning yourself to or someone that doesn't necessarily, or the company hasn't had a good experience in the past. So now you're setting yourself up to not be, even though you might be good for the job, you might not be put in the best foot. So that's the kind of the risk that you take with both sides.
I can promise you though, as a company where I'm doing it now, so I'm doing internal recruitment now rather than agency. if we see your CV, it doesn't matter where it comes from. If it's a good CV, we would go with it regardless. So it doesn't matter if it comes from an agency. Lucky enough, right now we don't work with any agencies. My company has a full internal team looking for people. But also, like when you get Ed, if you're good at your job, you won't get Ed. So like there's that. Just be good at your job. No, but like jokes aside, it isn't a good practice. Like we do generally, and it's best now because nowadays we have a lot of AI tools where we can at the very least give you some sort of response. Right? It's very easy. We click one button and that's, I feel, the least you can do. Just to let someone know that they didn't get the job or like, stop emailing me or like, stop shooting, bro. Like, like you're there, you're like hoping and praying. It's late. It's late, bro. Like no one waits 2 to 3 weeks for a candidate they really, really want. Like that's the other side of things.
Okay. Why is your brain churning there?
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
So when you say you do internal recruitment, are you a company's HR?
Now, yes. So part of HR. So essentially, your CVs come to me now instead of me looking. instead of trying to find people and and I'm trying to get to the hiring manager, they come to me now. I'm the one responsible for sifting through, making sure that the candidates fit kind of the descriptions that the hiring managers are looking for.
Oh, I have a question.
But HR has many functions there, son.
Yeah.
I had a question. I had a question. So, damn.
So, do you want to help?
Nah, he's not
I'm gonna
catch that train, bro.
No. So it's the question I want to ask is, because there's different functions to HR. Thanks, JP.
Yeah, thanks, JP.
God. Which of those functions is worth having like an actual person there, and which of it is worth having like a system in place?
Ooh, that's actually tough. Oh, that's actually a very good question. I'd say my job's definitely worth having.
So recruitment.
No. Look, it depends on the company. If you're a company that's willing to pay the services so that you can save the time, where you don't have to pay the salaries of someone like me. You're just like, I'm just going to use an agency. You obviously weigh up the cost of paying people like me versus paying for a candidate that will maybe cost you $100K to get that candidate. Most companies prefer to build an internal team who have the expertise on it, because in the long run, it saves them much more money than having to pay to build up the entire roster or like company.
Especially if you're scaling.
Yeah. And I work for a scaling company at the moment. So it makes a lot more sense. Just like, please give me. Just give me money.
Just give me.
No, don't make me redundant. That's better to definitely have people on the inside, but I can definitely see the other side of that as well. There should definitely be more of a person function. Whereas a system, I don't really think there's part of HR where it could just be a full-on system. Not anymore. Because like when it comes from when it comes to development, I guess that's the only one where there could be some sort of system. Where it comes to like personal development or professional growth, because people can just create like modules, and you can have a contractor create a module, learn about your company, create a module, and then that can be just sourced to your people who come in, and then they can learn that way. Yeah. So maybe.
But that can also be system generated, because like there's software like Latitude and stuff like that, where you can build out career paths.
Yes,
and then from there tick the milestones and save on that equivalent cost.
So the reason I asked this question is twofold. Number one, there is an element of HR that overlaps with operations.
Yes.
And then there's an element of HR that is very much in that way. So you have a grievance. And then you get the stigma around like, is HR, do they have your best interest in you, or they for the company? That whole thing.
It's crazy. I always technically, I'll be like, I'm technically part of HR, but I try my best not to align with them fully, because I don't. Because I'm not very. No. Here's the thing. I'm not
views expressed.
I'm not be edited. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not very corporate friendly. I think it's as a. I don't know, is it just our age group that places a bigger balance on like work-life balance and trying to get as much as you can out of life beyond work? Yeah. So I don't like when corporations put themselves so far ahead of the people that work for them. It doesn't make sense.
So there's for the human side of human
honestly,
resources.
I do my best to be that way. So I completely get when people are not, like, for the most part, promise, HR is not there for you. They're there for the company. And I can express that without any issue.
But I do think the human element it should come from everybody. And I think that's what HR is most of the time trying to promote, is that if you want to be treated a certain way, you need to treat a person certain way.
But there's also nuance to issues that you have.
No, 100%.
You can't otherwise get through with some automated system.
Yes.
You need to talk one-on-one to
and
to
that's
a
where I
person.
feel HR is the best suited to assist with that.
Yeah.
When those nuanced discussions happen, the mediation that HR does is truly effective.
And even then they'll try not to.
This isn't a debate show. But I just want to sprinkle a little bit of the devil's advocate.
Yes, please do.
So it is almost like better to sometimes have a third party company or function, whatever that exists, to deal with in-house grievances and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where, because the HR is the biggest masterpiece sometimes. And this is something that you experience like in retail or in those where like you actually have like a CAC manager. You actually have, but at the same time, you have a junk manager, but the manager is creating very productive work environment type thing. And so the HR is like, they don't want to stop that. So then to have then an external party who's like, I don't care about the productivity of this company, let's look at the facts.
Yeah. So that's the balance that I think a lot of companies need to learn to try and strike. It's where you care less about the employee and how much they enjoy work and just care about how productive they are. But then the problem with that is they end up hating their work. They're productive, but they end up hating their work, right? Because you're so hard on them about it. Or you're a bit more lax. You allow them to take ownership of their work, which maybe sometimes can hurt production a little bit. But if someone feels comfortable and they feel like there's some sort of work-life balance that they have, and they're like, I actually enjoy going to work, those people want to keep their job.
Yeah.
They do well because they feel more or less happy at work.
Yeah.
So I promise you, someone can be good at their job, but if they hate going to their job, eventually they're going to just do their best to leave. And then in the long run, the retention is a thing. Yeah. Like, it costs you so much money to try and find people, costs you so much manpower. So sometimes I just think companies and HR should definitely be included in this. Do your best to just make the people that you have happy.
Yeah.
Because
but
in the long run,
it starts, like you said, at the source. It starts with inviting them, being the right person for the job.
Yeah, of course.
Because then when you get that right, it does make that easier.
Yeah. Because personality eyes are nice and all. And it's nice to be with them in the company, but eventually you start hating them because they don't do their work. So they need to be the right person for the job.
So then let's take that discussion on why the CV falls in the pile, right? So what are the elements on the CV that we need to be made aware of so that it doesn't land in the pile?
Yeah. So nowadays, well, I think the first thing to start is make sure that your CV is not a picture. That's very important because a lot of people do that. A lot of people do that. Do your best to obviously look over your CV as much as possible. So, I mean, we had a little discussion about that a little bit earlier. But the thing is, you need to make sure that things that show up on like AI hit points now, like if your particular skill set, let's say we're talking about a software engineer, make sure the JavaScript is spelled properly because otherwise the piece is not going to pick that up. Make sure C# is there. Make sure MVVM, like all these things need to be picked up as keyword phrases. Because otherwise, if there's not enough keywords picked up by a lot of companies that are using AI tools to sift through CVs before they even get to me, you just fall by the wayside. Because they also even end up giving scores now. So if what we've put in as keywords in our ATS, so ATS is an applicant tracking system, right? So that's essentially where all your CVs end up digitally. If the ATS does not pick up that you have all these little bullet points that we've put into the system, you can fall by the wayside, even though your CV is great. Yeah. So now it scores there 70. It's like, that's probably good. Some people I've seen, like, they're very senior for their position. They do really well, but they don't actually put in the specific keywords that align with their job and what's needed. So make sure that you're online, you're looking for the specific things that, number one, that you've also done. Don't fake it. Like, I might not tell, but the hiring manager is going to tell, and that's going to be embarrassing.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I can't ask you the technical questions. I can ask you these things, but you could lie to me. I won't know the difference. But it's going to be picked up by someone else, and then that's more embarrassing than just failing by me.
Yeah.
But make sure that you have the key points. Make sure that they are just like spaced properly and set out as neatly as you can.
Yeah.
There's a lot of examples of good CVs out there. Don't put your picture on it. No one likes your face as much as you do. I promise you, it's not.
So I think also something that
If you have a picture of your face on there, it's not
Rizal's
bad.
gonna go edit this scene.
He's giving her energy.
It's nothing necessarily wrong, but at least make sure it's an HD picture.
So I think.
Please don't have it be a picture at someone's wedding or you're part of a group and you had to crop someone out and then you zoomed in. Because I'm not trying to look at pixels.
So I think something that the balance between making the CV too long and also just the right size. Right?
I was gonna ask, well, like, what's the perfect like?
2 to 3 pages.
2 to 3 pages.
2 to 3 pages. And unless a cover letter is mandatory, don't bother because we don't look at it. We don't really look at it. I have sometimes had a look at someone's like cover letter and it's a cover letter for them applying to a different company. I will still see you. I don't care. Because I know I would do that same thing. Why am I having to re-edit my CV every single time I want to send it to a company? So I completely get it. But for the most part, like either keep that cover letter short or keep it super general, where you don't have to talk about, I'm trying to apply for this role at this company. Keep that out because you're going to have to re-edit things. It's going to make it harder for you to apply for positions as well. And if someone does see it and they're for some reason offended because of the corporation that pays them on their behalf, then they'll cut you off right then and there because you're not paying attention to detail.
Yeah, I think something that I also struggled to do when updating my own CV is actually packaging the tasks that I do. So like a lot of the times, like you say, the keywords is something that I found necessarily difficult because let's say I'm good at financial modeling, for example, or forecasting. Like forecasting is a term or FP&A is a title in finance. But I'm not necessarily, I'm able to do it as a skill, but it's not the job that I'm applying for. So sometimes it's hard for me to package, like you said, my CV for the job that I want to do. And I think for me, especially as now I'm getting older, it's harder that the CV is getting longer. So now you don't know what do you keep in, what do you take out, because you can do those things. But now because the CV is too long, maybe I'm repeating myself into, let's say, two of my previous roles, I did the same thing. So maybe let me take out one of them. But like, is that sort of things as we go through the career? What are the things that we should be looking for when updating our CVs?
I think, look, like you mentioned now, your CV is going to evolve as you age, right? And as you become more senior in whatever field you're in, you're probably going to cut off the things that mattered more when you were a junior. That it's almost, it's obvious that you do this thing now as you're more senior. So just cut those off, make spaces for maybe a specific section that's just like skills. And that applies to the jobs that you will most likely to be like applying to now. Like for instance, in like finance, like maybe when you started, it was nice when you said, I can use a calculator. You don't need that anymore. Like please cut that off. I'm computer literate. That should be obvious. Like get that off. No one cares that you can use Google Suites. That's normal now. So like you mentioned, you do try and condense it as much as possible. I guess because of the amount of people that we see, our attention spans aren't that great either. So we look for like the key points. Make sure that the company you worked for and your title at that company falls in line perfectly with what you either actually did or your field of work. And make sure that it's just noticeable. That's it. Because like a lot of times people, it's just not legible, man. Like and it makes it hard for us to read the CV. Don't put out CVs that was scanned. Like it's like we and the thing is we obviously want to cater to people who sometimes just don't have the ability to do these things. We have people that do still walk company to company because all they can do is print. They don't have access to a PC. And that's also the reality of some of the things we're doing as well. But to answer the question properly, I would say adjust it accordingly to the positions that you're applying to, and take off some of the things that just don't apply to the seniority of your role anymore.
What are things that like if you like on face value when you look at a CV that like annoys you? like that people should get rid of? Like maybe 2 or 3 things.
We know about the picture now.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the picture
I
is
think
one.
that's,
Picture, a long cover letter. Promise you I'm not reading that. I'll read the 3 first lines maybe.
Yeah.
We don't care about experience outside of what you're applying for either. So if you were, unless you have like a lot, like if you are at like 10 years experience, please don't talk to me about when you were a retail worker, like in your first 2 years.
Yeah.
That don't matter.
Yeah.
Like we don't care.
Yeah.
We're not going to call up Cape Union Mart and be like, listen, did he actually work there? No, he's not getting the senior software engineer position. So we're not doing that. And we don't want to read it either because it just it makes it difficult to get to the meat and bones of stuff. And then what else? I'd say, if your CV looks, I won't say very clearly ChatGPT, but if it just completely falls in line with whatever if you don't talk about specifics.
Yeah.
So give examples of where you've improved the company. Don't just say the things you've done because let's say and I'm always going to relate this to IT, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But like, if you're a software engineer and you say, I've built scalable systems, every software engineer has done that. You're supposed to be able to do that. So talk about when you built a scalable system. Talk about the one that's maybe on the Play Store or one that has a website. Send the link to that website. And if you can provide specific examples in whatever field you're in, do that. Make use of metrics. People love metrics. I don't know what that metric means. You can say, I improved this by 70%. Can't it was like 2 people and now it's like 3 people. It's improved it by like that much. That's still 67%, sorry. 50%?
It's okay.
From 2 to 3 is a 50% increase. Look at this. So, maybe I should use calculator off my CV. Anyway, but like, you make use of metrics because people love that.
So one thing that is hard, sorry, Rizan, I'll give you a chance. One thing that is hard, especially for depending on your personality, it's hard to sell yourself. And that's what I think it's sometimes very hard to be in spaces where I can do what you're asking me to. I just can't convey to you that I can do this.
Yeah.
And it, like you mentioned, it starts with the CV, right? The CV can set the tone of what you can do, but you're still gonna have to explain in that interview of what you are able to do. Yeah. So when someone is in that space, what would be the best way to translate that to the person that is asking the question, like yourself?
It's very tough to answer that because it varies for the level of person you're talking to. So when you're talking to someone like me, which will do the initial phone screening, firstly, some people can be nervous at all levels because they're just nervous. They know how to do the job, but they're nervous regardless. Yeah. The first thing I'll try and do is obviously make sure you're at ease, but not everyone's gonna do that. So, and some people, for some reason, they feel like the gatekeepers of a company. So they want to be as hard as possible for whatever reason. Anyway, so I can't really say when it comes to that. If you're nervous at that level, I know you're going to be nervous for like when you meet the actual hiring managers who know the technical side of things. It's pretty hard. I would just say don't try and over prepare. I think that's the easiest one I can give you, because the moment you make any sort of mistake or they ask a question that you just didn't for whatever reason think of to prepare for, you're going to fold. I promise you're going to fold, and it's going to be even more nerve-wracking for you. Nerve-wracking. Anyway, it's just don't try and over-prepare. Know your stuff. I mean, and if you are in this if you're in that position and you qualified for the position, you will, for the most part, know your stuff. But don't try and over-prepare an answer, and don't like that where you're sitting in front of like a mirror or something and you're preparing. Like, I promise you that's not going to work the same way in the call. Because I've seen people in the call with me, the most confident people ever. And then they come and sit in front of the hiring managers, and I'm just like sitting there just watching. And I'm just like, this man is folding. He's going to fall in his chair because this person just asked him one different question. I could have asked the same question. For the life of me, I'm not going to know that you're giving me the right answer.
Yes.
Like, not really. But now the team asks you that exact same question, and you make one little mess up, like not the same way you answered with me or the same way you rehearsed in whatever mirror you love. Like, it's not gonna come back the same way, and you're gonna just fall apart. People fall apart. So don't over prepare. Don't not prepare, but don't over prepare. I think
before you move on, you mentioned that when you get like screenshots or like people that like scan things
Yeah.
of their CVs, what is like the ones that's like generally like the most acceptable? Like what should people give like when they're sending in the CV? Should it be like a PDF? Should it be a Word
PDF.
document?
PDF, Word can kind of mess up your format.
Alignment.
So be very careful with Word. PDF is generally the way to go. PDF also can't be edited by us. That's the most important thing. So make sure it's a PDF.
So like for everyone out there, like everyone should just strive to do PDF.
Yeah.
Like,
if you can.
Because of the ATS software, make sure that it reads. It's clear. And I think that sometimes depending on what printer you use, it can give like a fuzzy, even a PDF printer, I'm not talking about a physical printer, can create like a fuzzy glare on top of it. So just make sure that when you do print it, open it again to see that you can see it clearly.
Yeah. 100%.
I have several things.
Yeah. I can see you stealing.
Okay. So number one, a lot of the times, like JP alluded to it, you are really good at the job that you do. How do you then become good at the selling yourself of being able to do that job? And now you're saying this level 1 is the actual document, that's the CV that you need to be good at. And then level 2, the interview process, you need to be good at. When ultimately we as people, because we cavemen, we just want to be good at the job that we do.
No, it's true.
And the game is the game.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate. If I'm being honest, because I think there's a lot of people out there that could be just as good, especially if you groom them into a position properly.
No. Listen, maturity is vital. Maturity is vital.
I was just checking. Okay. If you upskill them properly, that's the corporate word for it. If you upskill them properly, I know that they could more than likely do a job just as good as someone that has already always had access to these things. Right. So someone that not only just has a computer that's functioning, that has all the suites for PDF, they can put their CV out perfectly, went to the right uni or whatever, they will probably be seen first, and that's unfortunate. And we don't want to be like ableist as well, like talking about the people who come in physically giving CVs. It sucks that we've to some extent turned into a function that is almost purely digital. It's just that it works faster. It works faster. So it's even harder for people who don't have access to these things to.
But I think it's important that we show them the lay of the land now.
Yeah, to be realistic about it.
So if you are doing the hand-in CV, maybe it's worth paying an 8 Rand or 10 Rand at a cafe to get access to the internet and to submit it that way. Just because we know that is a blocker, right? And in order for us to overcome, we need to know how the game is being played. And to Rizan's point, it is a game. Understand that the interview process has 2 main components. It has the part where we need someone to do the job, and there's the part where you need to sell yourself. And I think understanding that even if you are in university now, or you're studying whatever you are studying, if you want to have a corporate or be in a business environment, even you're not an entrepreneur, you at some point you're going to sell yourself, regardless of what skill you have. And I think it's important to know that is something that you're going to do. So instead of being afraid of it and almost like it's never going to happen to me, dig my head in the sand, we're showing you now that that is something that you are going to do. Unless, again, like I said, you're an entrepreneur, you forge your own path. Even in that way, you're probably going to sell yourself in funding, so in those sort of spaces. Different kind of sell, but not from an interview style selling.
Okay. Secondly, wow. So, number one, it does sound like there's almost like a gap in the market, in that like there could be an opportunity for an organization, an institution to create this type of scheme where they are showing people how to properly do the CV. Showing people how to properly conduct themselves in an interview, and also have it be where, because you're obviously speaking about, let's call it the business side of things. There's a recruitment happening in the medical field, in education field. I recently applied for work. I was unemployed for 7 months. and I wrote like 13 different cover letters.
This is personal to you.
No, but it was like you were saying that like there were say there's 5 paragraphs. 3 of those paragraphs is ubiquitous across the board because that's the information that sort of, and then I would just maybe tailor it to the specific company.
Yeah.
Ubiquitous. Access to the Google Drive.
Ever pleasant.
Hey,
Allow me. And so my question essentially is that is there that's the question. Is there a gap for this? And then B, is there potential for evolution in the space where we kind of see that like this is actually not helping? Should this system be changed? That's essentially my question. Is that A, is there a gap for this where it might be like, we can profit from this type of buzz? Or B, is there going to be like this needs to change, we need to change how we do this? What do you think? Yeah.
Before I answer, like, do we have like a business plan?
I'm
like, are we giving people ideas that we can jump on? Okay, so like, to answer question B, because plan. Okay. To answer A, I think there are a lot of companies actually, but I specifically online that assist with CV, like building CVs.
Okay.
You can get very quick examples. I mean, I've built CVs in the past exactly that same way. Not now, you know.
I have a job.
Not my job. So not now, but there are a lot of places that can give you great formats for CVs. They will always encourage you, like I said, don't put a picture there. So they'll give you all those little tips. So I don't think there's necessarily a big gap in that market.
Okay.
I just don't think that information is getting to a lot of sections of our specific country.
Oh, lovely.
Because, I mean, Cape Town seems to be much more modernized than a lot of other places. But when you go to places like the Eastern Cape, when you go to more rural areas like the Northern Cape, like just generally more rural areas, it's a lot more tough for them to get anywhere near this information.
Wow.
They're still doing legwork with like applying for anything. So if there's like someone's willing to do the legwork on that, sure, there could be some sort of gap.
Yeah.
And to answer your second question, I actually don't have an answer for that, and I'm not going to pretend I do. I don't. I'm not going to pull something with regards to that.
The question there is, what's the alternative? Because it's not like I can scan through your brain and say, hey, you can do this.
You can do this job,
move on. Because unfortunately, even if your brain is able to do that, every job that you're going to step into involves another person. So if that leg that you can't engage with the hiring manager or the talent acquisition, even if you become more senior in your job, you're going to have to work with other people in other departments. So being able to engage with someone else is a fundamental skill as you're going up.
And the thing is, I think whatever I'm specifically on the podcast for, I feel like it'll apply more to more junior people and for like grads, right? Because people who already have a few years of experience, they probably don't need much of my advice here. But if it's
I don't think so.
Look,
I think it's again doing that thing where I'm not important guest. I'm just selling.
I'm generalizing.
So remember,
there are some people that
so to your point, Victor, we necessarily in the rural areas, this message is not getting across. But this is what the podcast is for. To send that message to that area and show them that this is possible. So I think the last thing before we hit the game...
just before you say what you're going to say, is also in that like sometimes somebody is coming from one field of work and coming into another, and then they'll need this experience. There you go.
Cool. So the last touchy point in the whole process is salary, right?
Yeah.
So you get to a point where you are successful, and then the word that always goes around is I'm below market. Below market rate. I don't know, but what is the market? Like who is the market? Because I think there's obviously, like you mentioned, there's disparity between what I think a 2 to 3 year software developer earns and the actual budget that you are willing to give for a 2 to 3 year. So how do you navigate that discussion when it gets to that point?
Yes. I think it's very tough because it's very dependent on companies. Like it's not ever going to be the same in the same, let's say, different sets of companies. They all going to be willing to pay different things. Let's say for someone with 2 years of experience or 3 years of experience. And if I'm going to talk, like, let's all the way from the junior and undergrad level. I loved to think when I was in high school that these grades don't really matter. It's the ones that matter in like uni. So just get into uni. That's it. Like that matters most. A lot of companies, when they're looking for the junior grad and so on, they look at high school. So if there's anyone like in high school listening, I'm not trying to say like be a teacher's pet and like just sit and study because I hated that. I hated doing that. But care a little bit because they're going to look at it. I promise you they'll look at it. At the camera. Like I promise you care just a little bit.
Yeah.
And when it comes to uni as well, as someone who generally used to skate a lot in high school but still get really good grades, I like bragging about high school marks doesn't really matter much. So, but like I didn't really study much and I still used to get like into that like top 10, right? Yeah. And then I thought, I can do this at uni as well. Bro, you get hit in the face, bro. You get two-pieced. It's dropping from it's dropping from like 80 averages to easily 60 something, and then companies look at you a little bit less when you're doing those applications. They almost only look at like 70 plus, depending on which like organization or institution you come from as well. And it sucks, but when you come from like a Stellies or a UCT, a 70 is like a UWC 80, 85, right? And that unfortunately is the case. So do care about your grades to some extent. Try and keep on the straight and narrow because that little year fail or something, they care about that as well.
But I think you misinterpreted my question. My question was on the salary negotiation.
Yes. So once you get to that point and you're starting out, don't expect to be paid what people obviously you're not going to be expect to get paid what people at mid-level do. But the thing is, the general ranges, depending on if it's very skilled work or not, don't accept anything less than 10K. Like firstly, that's not going to ever be a salary you expect to like live off of. Unfortunately, that's not the reality for a lot of people. They have to support their family. They have to even contribute to a family on that kind of salary. Not everyone has that, privilege of like, okay, this is my first job. I get to save everything I need to, right? So I get some people wanting to get as much as possible, but industry standard, let's say for skilled work, is anything between 10 to 20 when you start out, like straight from being a graduate. High performing grads, they can start at like 25 if they really want to pay. This is like your bigger institutions now, right? If we're like, but it also depends on which field we're talking about. Because like people, let's say in engineering, will get paid.
So let me paint the picture for you. So you get to that last point. Now they give you an offer, right? So now that offer necessarily, let's say, is slightly higher than what you earn now, because that was probably a question that was asked before. So it's slightly higher than you earn now, but it could potentially be at the low end of that company's budget. So you don't know what room there is. Yeah. And often the coaching and says negotiate, right, at that point. And then there's two ways that can go. That can be the top of the company's budget. Then that's the only number that they give. Or they give you a number slightly higher than that because you asked for whatever. Or at least in my experience, justify why you should be a bit higher. How do you navigate that discussion? Because now you don't want to sound, at least you don't want to sound ungrateful.
You don't want to undersell yourself. And
you also don't want to undersell, like you said, undersell yourself because there is potential to earn more.
You should have just said, like, why talking to me about the salary discussion? That's easy. Ask about the budget. Some companies are going to take that differently though. So you need to be very nuanced about it. Some people will take it like, if you ask me about salary, you only care about the money, which is such a dumb thing. It's that, I'm sorry, but like if there's any person in HR who takes personal offense when someone asks about the salary, you suck at your job. Like genuinely, you suck at your job. I understand if you're like the actual person, the CEO.
Views expressed.
I understand if you're the CEO and you're looking for someone specifically reporting into you as like C-level. I get that because they have to think about the business as a big picture. But to most people, this is a job. I'm trying to get paid as much as I possibly can for the skills that I have. So if someone is asking about the budget, like, what does it have to do with you unless they're outside of the budget?
Yeah.
So that's a personal point to like anyone in my profession personally. But if you're not scared to like ask about the budget, if they're not willing to give you some sort of budget, be okay with walking away. Don't shut the door on anything, obviously. Like, I'm not saying play hardball, because that's also something hard to negotiate with, or like something to negotiate with a company. But I'd say definitely be open to asking about the budget. If they say for whatever reason, we can't disclose that, just say like, look, this is a range that I'm willing to work with. I'm willing to go more towards the middle side of this range that I'm working, that I'm applying for, but please just have the discussion with me. Be as transparent as you possibly can. That's the best thing you can do.
One of the things that I also want to know is like, okay, can I get a more detailed description on the job, like the roles that I'm going to be performing? Because sometimes they hit you with like, oh, you're going to do X and Y for Z, and then you just realize X and Y is X squared. And you took Z because you thought, Z is worth the price, bro. Because you, like, I don't know, your experience.
Yeah, look, it's really tough to answer because it's going to so much depend on who you get as either a hiring manager or a company you work in.
Okay.
And that's the worst part about being in such a job scarce country that because you kind of almost just have to take what you can get, and that sucks. I don't want to tell young people that. It really sucks to say like, look, if they have a budget and they don't want to budge on the budget, just like take what you can get. It sucks to tell people that.
And I think if I can give you any advice, not to be super qualified in this space. Work on skills. I think people pay for skills.
Yeah.
So even though you might not be getting the salary or the number that you have now, work on the skills that get you the next salary. Because I think once you start acquiring that, you'll start getting the money that you are looking for. And I think, like to your point, give the company or the hiring person a range, and the most likely they can confirm it's within that range or outside of that range, and then don't be scared to walk away. And I think, like you said, like you mentioned, just equip yourself as best as possible. And I think that's the whole thinking behind this, is that we equip people to take that step in their careers.
Yeah, hopefully.
We're ready for the games.
Yeah.
Okay, so. Firstly, thank you for...
All
right, so like I kind of like a menu of how it is supposed to go. We mixed and matched. We did a bit of a trifle vibe there, but we got there at the end of the day. No, there was custard for sure. Okay, so firstly...
and was there...
outrageous. Moving on. So the first questions, the first game from the bowl is we're kind of gonna do like a blind rank, right? And so we're actually gonna blind rank our top 5 supercars.
Okay.
Or actually just as luxury cars. I probably overshot it.
Yeah, that's fine. Like
because Lala's gonna judge me. That's not a super
car. I'm not gonna judge you. I know you.
Supercar brands or specific models?
Just brands. No.
Okay.
Just brands. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna say the name and you're gonna put it in between 1 to 5.
Okay.
It's 5.
And
okay,
then
cool.
You get me.
Yeah.
First one's 5.
Okay. Lamborghini.
2.
I think 2 solid.
I think 2 solid.
Because there's only one that can go 1.
The video. I'll go with it. And also in the comments, you already know.
Yeah.
I'll go with him.
I think 2 is safe.
I'll go.
It's my personal number 1, but I'll go with him.
Yeah.
Okay. McLaren.
5.
What is this between 1 and
5?
1 and 5.
I want to save it.
You want to
if Ferrari's on there, I would put Ferrari like 4 or 5.
Yeah. I don't know. McLaren. I'll go 3.
Yeah, no.
Okay,
3. I think 3.
I just feel like there's something better
nowadays, bro.
There's something better coming. That's why I was just like,
it has to something. That last one.
But that's what the results doing.
Porsche. You know,
I don't mind that 5.
Yeah,
I don't
put
mind
Porsche
that 5.
Like as a supercar.
As a supercar,
Yeah.
I don't mind that 5.
how dare you guys?
as a sports car, Porsche would be my number 1.
You know why I mess with Porsche? Because Porsche, whatever you want to say it. It's because I think that they're the easiest sports cars and
you see, you said
luxury
it
cars
yourself, sports car.
to
It's not a
daily.
supercar, it's a sports car.
I get that. I get that. but
Porsche is my
they
number
are the
1
most,
sports
They are
car.
also the most practical luxury.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's
That
why.
is true.
That's
So
why
I
like,
mess with that
So
so
you have
much.
1, 4, and 5.
a grand a Porsche, but a supercar is not supposed to be practical. It's supposed to
I
be
also get
wild.
if we're talking about like that pantomime, like
Yeah,
you're just
that's
like
why that's why I
on
said
a
like
picture there, then I get it.
Yeah, that's why I was
Fine,
like,
I
so
miss
that's
it.
So that's where
You'd
I
only put
went.
like the Carrera GT up there or something.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. You know what? Take it from. I'm not giving you 5.
Nah, put a 4. Put a 4. I don't mind
Fine.
4.
Okay, it's fine.
I don't mind 4.
So you have
you gotta
1
put
and
Ferrari.
1 and 5. 1
Yeah.
and 5.
Bugatti.
You saying Bugatti?
The Veyron.
Bugatti.
You saying Bugatti? No?
Bugatti.
No, no.
Ah, it wasn't just me. No.
Yeah. No, because
Do you
I
wanna-
was like, is he starting to say Pagani and Bugatti?
No, sorry. Bugatti.
I was like Bugatti. Naga.
I only know one
It's like
Pagani. It's the Zondo, whatever the
yeah,
case
yeah,
is.
yeah.
Wins the Porsche.
So he's we already got inside. He's not gonna take Ferrari 1. I was gonna take Ferrari 1 because
I
that's
would
a
never put
sports.
Ferrari one.
Ferrari disrespects their clientele.
Oh.
Like,
But we know that's next though. So are you gonna put for Bugatti?
I think it's one.
I would like, because it's a blind ranking. I know
Yeah.
Ferrari's next, so Bugatti.
I feel like
has
I'm
to-
gonna go one. Bugatti. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Okay, then Ferrari is number
Yeah,
5.
that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. I'm
It
okay
can
with that.
sit
I'm
there.
okay. I'm okay
You
with that.
can't tell me what I can't do with a car that I bought with my
Yeah,
money.
like Ferrari's wild.
They will.
Ferrari. Do you know that if you like modify a Ferrari, they will like blacklist you from
Yes,
buying
you can never
Ferraris.
buy one again. Like, what are you telling me to do with my money? With my money, bro.
That's
That's
crazy.
Oh,
They were
wait.
into this.
No, no, no.
It really
Oh,
is
yeah.
crazy.
They've
man.
obviously
It's-
made one of the best. Like, they've made some of the best cars ever. Like, I get it. Like,
But it's just the
But just-
gatekeep energy.
Yeah.
is wild.
That's wild.
no.
He's wild.
You can't.
He's wild.
They want to be so pure about it that no one else can touch it. That's crazy.
Okay.
Honorable mention of that Corvette GT is
Corvette.
Oh, what's everyone's honorable mention? What did I not mention?
Sports. If it's specifically sports car, like that's not my favorite brand.
Okay.
If we're talking about sports cars,
my Mustang GT.
oh, it's actually
I think
tough,
that's-
eh?
That would be my
I like a Mustang.
Mustang.
Wait,
I
sports
don't
cars
like
or
Mustang.
sorry, are we talking about sports cars or are we talking about
Luxury
cars.
Okay, just like luxury
Yeah.
cars.
Luxury cars. Honorable mention.
But like luxury cars is
Whoa,
it's
whoa,
like
whoa,
so.
whoa.
Is
But
it
that's
too
exotic.
broad?
No,
Yeah.
we spoke about exotic cars.
Yeah, we
Oh,
were
really?
not talking about
That wasn't
all
luxury
exotic
cars.
sport.
Oh,
Because
we
if you're
were
talking about
about
luxury, I'm
new-
going to Lexus. Easy.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
It's my favorite brand. It's
And
I
you?
see.
It's
I see.
outside.
And
I see
you?
it. Like luxury.
Okay. Whatever. I don't know these terms, bro. I'm a pleb.
So for me, when you say luxury, then I'm
Yeah.
thinking about like Maybach or
You're gonna
Rolls
go-
Royce.
Oh,
or like,
yeah.
That's luxury.
Yeah.
And what's your favorite of that?
Maybach for sure.
It's gonna be
Okay,
Maybach.
And
Yeah.
you?
Same. Yeah.
It's going to be Maybach.
Maybach is crazy.
Maybach
So-
that went through a Mansory.
We
Yeah,
don't
man,
have time.
so-
We don't have time.
Yeah.
Do you know, I can't lie, you're more of a Range Rover kind of guy. Like
Go.
100%. 100%.
What's wrong with the Range Rover? bro?
Nothing's wrong with the Range Rover.
I don't
Everything
smart
after
it.
5 years. What do you
That's
mean?
my
No,
concern.
no.
But if I can afford a
Everything
Range
after 5
Rover,
years.
I'm
Oh,
living
yeah.
in it.
Oh, yeah.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Oh,
sleeping
yeah.
there.
Yeah, because it's not going to move anywhere after 5 years. That's the plot afterwards.
Yeah, that's a lodging, big man. I'm paying property tax on that car. So the next one is actually for your anime
Sir.
love.
Sir.
Yeah. And I guess just any cartoon character love.
So listen, but you know it now. I was gonna say let me do it because you. I feel like
No,
you
no,
know
so
what
this
to-
is this is actually
You can participate.
this is not a blind rank. This is
Oh.
a medley top
Okay.
5.
okay.
So I'm gonna
Explain.
read a category for each. So you're almost like you're building your best anime, your best cartoon character team.
Okay.
Okay, so this
Okay.
can be any anime, any sort of, even that can even count Marvel and
Yeah.
and DC
Oh.
vibes. Yeah, you can go crazy.
Okay.
Okay, let's go. Number 1, smart character.
Oh.
Who's your favorite smart genius character?
My favorite, who's the best at it?
Listen, you're
Your
building
favorite,
a team, bro.
yeah.
It's your favorite. It's building a team, bro. You're starting 5. Coming at the point guard.
It's so easy to just go like either Light or L from Death Note.
Okay.
I'm going to go L.
Oh, okay.
Because
Ooh.
L1, yeah, L1 if it
L1
wasn't
is
for
how
the
you
Death
curl
Note.
shots, miss, on FIFA. So anyway.
L from Death Note.
L is
my brain just went
insane,
more
bro.
cha cha cha.
Mojo
Nah.
Jojo.
The ones who
That's
got
like
beat
saying
up by-
Dr. Doofenshlips.
Yeah.
Nah, it's a good father. That's a good
Yeah,
father.
he's a great
W
dad.
dad.
He's a
W
great
dad.
dad.
Dat is nog wat.
But L is
Got you,
insane.
okay.
L is
Oh,
insane.
okay. Fast character.
Fast.
Speed-based character.
When that man sleeps, bruh.
Oh, Zenitsu.
Zenitsu, bruh. When that man is asleep, bruh. That man move, bruh. That man move when he's asleep, bruh.
Tanjiro. Nezuko-chan.
Thunderclap. No. Big pause there. Geez, the fastest. It's hard to go for anime here because animes always show them differently. I'm gonna go Makari from Eternals because I like the way that
she's the one who's deaf. Well, not deaf,
Yes,
but
yes,
the
yes.
one who can't.
She's deaf,
mute.
yes.
She's mute, yeah.
deaf or mute or something,
Yes,
but I like
yes,
the way
yes,
she's displayed as a
It
speedster.
is
I don't think she's
cool.
the fastest
Yeah.
speedster ever, but I like the way she's displayed. It's the most
Took me a
realistic
while.
way of
I'm
doing
there
it.
now. I'm there.
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact that man added a minority. I just want to.
Yeah. Because like, yo, Eternals,
My
man,
people
bro.
of my POCs. Let's go.
Evil character. This is your power forward.
Alright.
Yes.
Do I wanna go? This could be someone more anti-hero than he is like evil.
Villain,
But-
anti-hero, doesn't matter.
I like his soccer from Hunter x Hunter.
Good to know.
He's I don't
Good
mess with. Hey,
To
Hey.
know. You said what you said. You said what you
I
said.
know
For
about
those of you that don't know,
I know about the
is
PDF
it a
allegations.
gum? Is it a rubber?
Yeah. Bungee gum. There's the property of both. I don't know. No, but he's my favorite. I mess with him.
So for those of you that don't understand, so this guy basically like follows the main character who's a child,
The
but he
12-year-old.
has this like lustful energy towards him.
Yeah,
But in reality, what it actually is that he's so attracted to
his potential.
potential.
Yeah.
But it's like I just portrayed in a
They
weird
portray it
way.
in a very
In a
PDF file way.
Okay.
You know, in a very sus way, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
So maybe that's not my answer. Let's see.
Let it be.
You said what you said.
I was going to say
I'm
the
gonna
brow
stand
from
10
Attack
toes
on
down.
Titan.
There we go. I'll stand on that. Let me know.
Eren Yeager. It's a W answer.
Bro, Eren
That's
Yeager,
it.
Attack on
That's
Titan
such a
is
good
wild,
answer.
bro.
Because Thanos also.
Bro.
Yeah.
Thanos is right, bro.
Bro.
Eren Yeager.
Anime
Okay.
Thanos, yeah.
For your this is your center.
Mm.
Powerful character. Like strong character. Strength-based character.
Strength in terms of ability or just like physical strength?
Yeah, whatever.
Let's do ability.
Yeah.
What's
You guys can
the-
also give answers, eh?
No, I just like that Victor is building this. I
What's
think
the
it's
name
important.
of that god from TB Super? Dragon Ball Super.
Oh.
Zeno.
Zeno.
Yeah, because man's
Yeah.
it's literally that.
that is
like
crazy.
if I'm gonna go with I'm just thinking
Yeah.
about power, it's that.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Good answer.
Okay. And then finally, utility character.
Yo.
This is your shooting guard.
Utility.
Utility.
Who's that chick from My Hero Academia who can just like literally make stuff like out of her body? Like,
yeah.
I can't remember her name for the life of me now. But
yes.
she can really like make weapons or shit.
The
like it just
class rep.
comes out of
That's
her.
all we
Like-
know. It's the class
Also,
rep.
like the guy from Dr. Stone, like the genius. Like,
Senko.
Oh, whoa.
Oh, you doubling on smart character.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's
doubling
also
down.
utility.
Okay.
Fair enough.
he's insane though.
That's
Because
a
like
smart
he's
pull.
got so much utility.
That's a smart pull.
'Cause you can,
That's
like-
a smart pull. I miss
Yeah.
that. Yeah. I miss
No,
that.
that's great.
Sorry, JP.
In the comments, who would you put in your starting five?
Thank you.
All world character team. You
Yes.
had a powerful character, fast character, smart character, utility character, and an evil character. Came
And
from
we
the
have one
power.
more game
From the
for
game.
today. It's a game that we enjoy playing on this podcast.
We do.
A
With a lot more
series, a
enthusiasm.
series of hypotheticals.
Like the tone was hectic.
Yeah. A series of hypothetical questions.
Game's cool. Say, man, now.
There you go.
So we're gonna do one. Is that fine?
Sure, yeah, because we're pressed apparently.
Say my now.
Say me now.
Pump My Ride made a comeback and your car was selected. What crazy feature would you want in your car?
They ruin cars, bro.
Yeah, that's the point.
Now looking back on my childhood.
Like,
Nah,
they
dude.
destroyed cars.
It's like you like to swim.
Yeah.
Let's put a swimming pool in that. Nah, dude. And I'm driving and my car's making wish-wash sound. You know that's how your tummy makes when it's full of water. That's what my car is doing now. Because I said I like to swim. Nah. I'd be so scared to tell them what I like, bro.
That's crazy,
I'm like,
bro.
Nah.
You like candy floss?
Yes, my car's sticky now. Nah, dude. I was like, you like basketball? We're putting a full on now.
Like a
Hydraulic.
retractable one.
Every time I missed the hoop, it breaks a window, I have to go to insurance again. I don't want to do that. Geez, what crazy thing would they put in my car?
Yo, this money's traumatized by a TV show. That's actually wild.
It's actually wild how our generation got back to that show and they were like, nah, you guys are actually catching on. Do you know they didn't fix the cars? People's cars would be busted. They did not fix those cars.
Like a few weeks later, a lot of cars that was on that show would
They
break down a few weeks
busted.
later.
So it's specific to me and my feature that
Yes.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh, jeez.
Maybe let's like make it something practical that like you would actually want. That would make sense to like have.
And I would actually want, I don't want them to touch my car, bro. Like the way my car is right now, I just fix my upholstery. Like that's it. I'm a practical king.
Give me leather.
I'm a practical king, bro. I'm just like, bro, I have a few tears here from the previous owner. Can you fix this, please? It's like, nah, we set you up with a self-starter kit. You can fix everything by yourself now. Don't do that, just fix my stuff. Jeez. Actually, you know what? If I could get like a portable hoop that could be, they set up the back of my car for a portable hoop to be in there, just extends out. I can deal with that. You know when I'm in traffic? Yeah, I work remote, so I don't know when I'm using that.
Playing a horse in traffic, my bro.
Yeah,
For me, it's unlimited timing chain. Because every 100,000 you must change.
My God.
So
I think also
I didn't
never
know
change
we were
who you
talking-
are as a person.
I didn't know we were talking about make believe.
So for me, well, if Pump My Ride, you give me a ride for the rest of my life.
I didn't know we were talking about make believe. Let's see.
that's-
Okay.
That would be you know.
Unlimited timing chain.
Yeah.
Timing belt is freaking expensive.
Ooh, you know what I would want? Like a gadget where it can like produce like these arms. They can just move this fucking horse and carts out of the way.
It's hard to fucking.
Victor, we're one
You
more.
hear me?
We're one more.
Okay.
Yes.
How am I holding on to this?
You can
Yeah,
eat
you
one. You
can
can
eat
eat
one.
one. You can eat one.
Oh, okay,
There's
my
enough
bad.
time apparently.
Yeah,
Planning. Okay, so I'm reading this now. Okay, so say mana. You were planning a heist and you had to choose 3 characters from any movie to join your crew. Who's getting an invite?
Ooh.
My heist.
Heist away.
Ooh.
Any movie or series or just
Movies.
Let's keep
Characters
it in
from any
movies.
movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just movies.
Let's keep it in
I
movies.
thought series was like too.
It's
Too-
that's
the
too much.
professor immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately
Yeah.
cheat code.
Yeah. Let's keep it
ooh.
movies.
Okay.
Magneto's one.
okay.
Oh, like the better answer was Quicksilver, but okay.
Magneto's
I
one.
like
If he
Magneto.
can't get in there, it's late for him.
I like my.
Like that's the other thing. And thanks for that answer, Quicksilver. Because if he just moment he opens up that up, it's gone. It's late. It's over. So
who
there's
was the third
2.
one?
And then for the us, someone that's just gonna entertain me while I'm there. A movie character. No, my wife is.
Yeah, I was like,
My wife. No,
it's like
my
the
wife-
sentence is wild.
Entertain is different. Entertain is different. And
That's
when I name
fine.
a man, I don't want to pause.
Okay, that's fine.
When I name a man,
I'm
I
actually,
don't name a
I'm
man,
grateful
no
that you're
voice.
naming a man.
Yeah. Cheese. Just
Medea.
now, I'm thinking so hard about the fun side of things.
Because
now.
the third person was the
Medea.
But like, like it's interesting because he's like on the quick in and out. Like I would be like more methodical, like Ocean's vibes. I would like want to plan it out.
Okay.
No, I
Yeah.
want you to know I was there. Like,
Oh, really?
I want you to know I was there.
Oh,
Deadpool. Yeah. Deadpool. I
Just
miss
for
it.
the- just for
'Cause
the-
Okay, that's
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
entertainment.
for the
that's for the
Yeah.
entertainment, but he
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
also kill everyone there if he
Yeah.
needed to. Yeah. Oh, I need to swap someone.
Okay.
I need to swap someone. I like Deadpool, so I kind of want him there. But if I'm swapping anyone,
Who
it's
would
gonna
you
be
want
him
to add?
I think her name is Dynamo. You know,
Oh, the
from
one
the
that's
Deadpool
lucky.
movie.
Domino.
If I'm lucky,
Domino.
all the time, Domino. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, her. Because if I'm trying to be lucky, like everything's gonna go my way, probably.
Yeah.
Or it just goes every way for her. I don't know. Yeah.
And
anyway,
you guys?
yeah.
Yo.
So I'm gonna be more grounded in reality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like no
Yeah.
superhero
Yeah.
style.
Okay.
All right. Dr. House.
Okay.
Pretty smart.
That's
But that's a
okay.
series, isn't it?
It is.
Oh,
a series.
sorry. Oh,
Do they not have a
it's-
movie of
then
that? I
Sherlock
don't know.
then.
Sherlock.
Yeah.
Oh, dub.
Sherlock.
Big dub.
Sherlock.
I like
Because it's
Sherlock.
basically the same person.
A grand Sherlock.
Big dub. Okay.
Sherlock. Then I would take a Jack Reacher.
Okay. The muscle. He's the muscle. Also smart
And
can
John
infiltrate.
Wick.
Yeah,
and then a good driver.
Oh,
Dominic
yeah.
Toretto.
I was gonna say, man. You all need some family, bro.
Okay.
But also he's a earthbender. So
Physics don't apply to that one, man. Physics don't apply to that one. That's actually a W driver, bro. That's a
He's a-
W driver.
Yes.
It's a W driver.
Okay.
Mine
solid.
was going to be Jason Statham,
Ooh,
John
yes.
Wick, and Iron Man. Because I
yeah.
need the computer.
Because I was gonna say Iron Man
Iron
alone.
Man's a good pull.
Iron Man is alone. Like
Yeah.
it's
No, yeah.
The others are just there for vibes.
Oh,
I'm just gonna get to hang out with Jason Statham met John Wick. Iron Man is literally in nothing. Hy moet just sien 'n paar suits, breakie suit over his hand is here. He's busy
the
distracting
traffic
you
was-
as
traffic
Tony
was-
Stark. Yeah, he's
yeah.
it's
Got you.
outrageous.
Solid. Yeah, the Iron Man is good.
Oh, yeah. That's what's rethinking answers.
Oh,
Man,
yeah,
it's fine.
yeah.
Listen, you've inspired
You
us.
guys
Yes.
went pragmatic,
Yes.
and I went like, no one's gonna think that could have been possible.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
like, why am
No.
I looking for this? Whereas
No,
if you go the
fine.
technology route, we can kind of think like, who has the technology to just do what they did to us? Tony Stark, and then you just look for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah, because it's more grounded in reality. You can kind of find the breadcrumbs. But if I did this,
Yeah.
like throw stuff open and then close it, how are you gonna follow me?
Yeah.
after that?
Finished.
Yeah.
Prove it.
So, yeah, at the end of the show,
Mm.
we like to give the guests an opportunity to do two things, but today we're just going to do one thing because I'm curious.
Mm.
If you could provide a message to your younger self, what did you tell young Victor?
I think I mentioned it when I spoke about like graduates and what they should be taking seriously. But care a little bit more about your work. I think it's very important that it just sets a tone for when you start out. Number one, I'm not saying make it your life because I also don't think that it's so good that you just bury yourself in your books. Try and find that balance. Please try and find that balance. So for myself, work a little harder. For those who like make it their life, try and enjoy the rest of it a little bit more. Because those are the times to enjoy. Because I'm pushing 30 now, and I'm like, you kind of think about the things that you think about back then where you didn't have responsibility.
Yeah.
So just try and find that balance as much as possible. I think. Yeah.
Nice.
As vague as it is.
No, it's good.
No, it's good. It's good. And I think, again, just to echo,
Why
does he do that, this was a brilliant episode, Victor.
Sure.
You might not feel or think that, but it definitely was a great episode. And I appreciate that you came through and told us about these things because I definitely lots of things to consider.
He's speaking for himself.
Because you are literally just like giving me the eye. Because
That's fine.
it's okay.
You appreciate him.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it.
really
But thank
appreciate
you
it.
again.
Yeah.
Thank you again for coming.
I
through.
enjoyed it, guys.
No,
appreciate it.
I think on a serious note, what you shared today was extremely valuable.
Yeah.
I think also there's a lot of harsh realities that we need to come to terms with. And I think there's a lot of us, because we belong to that missing middle. The people that kind of have enough to pursue like a better, but we don't know enough to actually get there. And so we it is important that we speak to that. Like this is going to push you over the edge. And so what you've actually come to speak to us today with was amazing. I really appreciate it. We value your time.
Me and Rizat.
Yeah, just myself and Lau.
Yeah, JP does.
And I'm sure the audio listeners and the visual listeners, if you like seeing us, hearing us, please do rate us on the audio platforms. Like, share, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell if you want to see more, because we are out. Peace.